Good evening, it's News View. I'm Lee Sullivan. Thank you for allowing me in. Visiting with Ron Hart, the infamous libertarian, humorist, award-winning author, columnist, etc. I mean, you know, down beaching it, like all great Americans should be, over the 4th of July, kind enough to spend some of his time with me, because I make him look really good.
You represent freedom. Freedom from having to sit on the beach with my wife.
Okay, my belle Michelle. Got a little confused on the John Wayne thing.
Michelle Bachmann, yeah.
Yeah, and did Chris Wallace, I mean, did he actually say she was a flake?
He questioned her as whether she's a flake or not. First of all, she made the mistake. John Wayne Gacy being born in this town versus John Wayne. It was a minor thing. Who knows? One guy killed 33 boys and was executed by the government. The other one killed 1 million Indians and has an airport named after him.
And several wars, won several wars.
Yeah, he did. John Wayne was a great American.
Listen, I had an emotional breakdown of Sands of Iwo Jima because that was the first time John Wayne got killed.
Oh, really?
And I didn't think it was possible.
No, not in the movies. You wouldn't think so. But, yeah, she made a few gaffes here and there. And the media is always tougher on conservatives than they are on their crowd, of course. Obama recently said his daughters, he didn't know his daughters' ages. Recently in a speech, he said that Malia and Sasha could do
that.
Yeah, he's a guy. Here's a guy though who's not real keen on birth certificates and times of birth.
Right,
anyway,
right.
You know, it's not his strong suit, knowing when people were born and where. But no, you know, look, people are going to make mistakes. They're weary on the campaign trail. The conservative radio shows do a great job of showing all the gaffes that Obama's had, like 57 states. I mean, down the line. They make as many as anyone else. And if you're on the air long enough and you're talking all the time, you're going to make mistakes. But the problem is that leftist media amplify and repeat the mistakes of a Sarah Palin, a Dan Quayle, who misspells potato. I mean, and that's dogged him his whole life. When you think of Dan Quayle, you think of potato now because it's been reinforced in our minds.
I just think an idiot.
But he's not an idiot. I mean, Dan Quayle was this really smart guy. His wife Marilyn was a very smart woman. I mean, but you can be made a cartoon of by the comedians at night, by the media, and they always do it to the figures on the right, never on the left. That's kind of the reason I write my column. I think the void that I found with the column was humor tends to be the province of the left. You look at the Letterman guy, he's so far left, and Bill Maher, he's off the charts. He might as well go down with Chavez and take his place when he dies of cancer.
Cuba.
Yeah, in Cuba, he could co-president there. And you know, you look at the McCarthy era inquiries. Most of the writers tend to be leftists for some reason. They tend to really believe in the left-wing ideas, and they tend to write the jokes for late-night comedians. And there's not too many that are conservative. My column has taken off 45 papers from California to Florida because there's a void of humor on the right. I mean, the conservatives tend to be kind of boring and dour, and they don't make humor. Sean Hannity's not funny. Rush Limbaugh's pretty funny in a very dry way, but he's not a comedian. Dennis Miller is really the only person from the right who has really humor, that interjects humor into it. And in today's world, where you have a small soundbite to get kids' attention, you have a small period, you got to be entertaining. You know, you can't be laying out very depressing numbers on the economy. People turn that off after a period of time. That's, I think, the reason the column has done pretty well.
Well, I like it.
Good.
You know, I read it. My sons read it, and we always manage to discuss it. Sometimes every now and then they'll say, "Is this guy for real, Dad?" I said, "Absolutely."
Sadly not.
Absolutely.
Getting back to Michelle Bachmann, though, she has some gaffes. Tom Petty, she was playing the song "American Girl," you know, so Tom Petty asked her to stop, talk about the left, not like from the right, stop using his song. You know, all these musicians probably feel out. Unless you go with Ron Paul, who wants to legalize pot, you better write your own songs. You know.
Well, Charlie Crisp, the ex-governor, had a
your favorite.
issue.
Yeah, a little favorite.
Yeah, a little dwarf.
What do you really feel about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Hot chicks in politics. Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
Did you watch? What is it? Undefeated.
Yeah, some very self-aggrandizing, flattering video that she's running around the country with. I mean, you know it's bad when she shoots an elk from from a helicopter and they edit the film to look like the elk shot first. They're trying to make her look really good, huh?
Yeah. Self-defense.
Yeah, self-defense. I mean, she's a great American, right? If you kind of morph it.
You know what hunters say now? They don't say kill, they say harvest.
Harvest? They're harvesting the thing?
Yeah.
Interesting. No, I like Sarah Palin, like Bachman. The Republican women are good looking. I mean, they energize my base. To look. What? What? That's what you. Isn't that what you want to do? Isn't that what you want to do? Sarah Palin's gorgeous. I mean, name a high-level Democrat.
No, I can't name anybody that energizes my base.
You can't.
I can't.
How about Richard Simmons? You think maybe?
No, I can't. I can't.
Ryan Seacrest?
I can't. I can't.
Yeah, well,
I can't do it.
The truth is, I mean, right now, the real flamethrowers in the Republican Party, the ones with the cojones, are the women. I mean, Michelle Bachmann and Palin are laying it out there, where Paultney and the other Republicans are just basically laying back and rope-a-doping right now. I mean, they're the women that are identifying the issues. So, which is good, I guess, in many ways.
Well, I guess it's good that Sarah and Michelle are laying it out there. Let me get on. Let me get on.
I don't know if I want to do this.
Sarah, did she cancel her bus tour?
Yeah, she apparently canceled her bus tour, and it's not like her to stop doing something halfway through it, is it? Like a governorship. They asked her, they said, "Are you canceling your bus tour?" And she goes, "No, we're not canceling the bus tour." So you got a bus tour that stopped with no plans to reconvene. In no time do you know when it's coming back. So no, it's not canceled. It's apparently something else. I mean, both. I like Bachman. I think Bachman's a lot smarter than they give her credit for. She's a tax attorney. She's done some pretty incredible things. I think she's a more viable candidate than Sarah Palin was. The left is trying to destroy her because as soon as you come on the radar, the left goes ahead and knocks the knees out from under.
How do you feel like? How does she resonate with America?
She's too socially conservative for me. I think on the physical issues, certain her physical attributes, she's great. I just think on social issues, and she'll do well in Iowa. Look, Iowa, she's from Iowa. A, B, Iowa is really a vote by the religious right part of the GOP. It's a very evangelical part of the GOP. So the primaries there are skewed toward Huckabee, for example, won there a few years ago. So it's not really a mandate on who's the best candidate. It's just really who's the most religiously right candidate. And Michelle Bachmann, she's very anti-gay. She had a tough time answering the New York State situation. She said gays live a desperate and miserable life. Apparently, she's never been to a gay Halloween party. Pretty fun. Kind of get out pretty good.
I need at least not knowingly.
Not knowingly. They love the dress. I mean, I'm just telling you, they love to dress up. If you haven't, been to one, they don't ever.
You're tearing my transmission up here. Ron Hart. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Snooze View. I'm visiting with Ron Hart. Blagojevich, the Gov, Blago, gets convicted.
Looks like he'll be going away for the July 4th holiday. He'll be going away for a little while, a little vacation. Unless, of course, he's pardoned by Oprah. If Oprah decides to
or Rahm Emanuel.
Rahm could.
Can Rahm pardon him?
I don't think a mayor can, but Oprah can. She's powerful. I mean, don't kid yourself. She could have him pardoned.
Yeah, she is powerful.
I wouldn't be surprised if hopefully the one-term President Obama pardons him down the stretch. Who knows? Like 4 of the last 6 governors of Illinois have gone to prison. I mean, this is a very corrupt state. If bribery, graft, racketeering in the Chicago public school systems are enumerated as constitutional rights, apparently, to steal. Thomas Paine's rights of man are probably listed in the Chicago school system. Is this what politicians do? The funny thing is the lack of outrage. I mean, they pretty much people in Chicago are so used to this, they go, well, yeah.
Way of life.
Yeah. So, of course, it's just a matter of not if you're stealing, it's just how and if you get caught. So it's a catch me if you can. situation. And all the states, that, you notice the most corrupt states tend to be Democrats, and they tend to be very high-tax states where they're doing more to take money from people because, money is a zero-sum game. If you take it from the private sector to the public sector, it gives them power, it gives them ability, it gives them ability to steal more money from you. So the fundamental way to stop a thief or even an alcoholic is get the alcohol out of the cabinet. Get the money away from the politicians. They can't steal as much. So
Illinois has got to be the leader in that group, don't you think?
4 out of the last 6, folks have gone there. And Rahm Emanuel, he's right out of the Chicago political machine. Their view is, you're here to do business. We're a business here. It's almost like the mafia where they shake people down for things. Businesses are leaving left and right there. They have to, every major business, they have to cut a side deal to keep them back in the state. They raise the income tax on corporations. They get ready to leave. They exempt them. Same thing Obama's done with health care. The nicest thing Obama can do for you is to protect you from him.
Right.
By giving you exemption on health care. So they do these egregious rules. And the problem with most of these Democrats, including Anthony Weiner and these other people, Blagojevich also, they really don't have any skills in the private sector. They couldn't get private sector jobs.
What about this exemption thing? I mean, I want an exemption.
Right.
Don't you want an exemption?
Well, it's mostly unions that are getting exemptions and political favorites of the Obama administration. And to say that your Obamacare is good for everybody except your buddies who you're letting out is the most damning thing about it, the fact that people are fighting to get away from it.
Surely America will not re-elect that numbnut.
You can't find a job otherwise.
It's Newsview. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Newsview. I'm visiting with Ron Hart, and a recent poll said that 66% of Americans believe the country is going in the wrong direction, and the polls also say that a generic Republican could, generic Republican, whatever that means, could
Romney's as generic as they get.
But since FDR, no president has ever been reelected if the unemployment rate 7%. Was above 7.2%.
Right, exactly. It could be an exception this time, who knows. But, if the country's going in the wrong direction, the bright news, the good news is that the roads are so bad and the bureaucracy is so thick, it'll take us a long time to get there if we are going the wrong direction. But I think, the generic Republican tends to win. And the reason they tend to win is that people really subscribe to the views of the Republican Party: minimal government, lower taxes, efficient government. But when you put one up there,
they go north.
Yeah, they go north because they don't walk the walk. Right. They don't live it. There's always something in their background that says they're not that person. Right. The problem we have in America today, unfortunately, and Nick Gillespie does a great job in his new book, The Declaration of Independence, which is about the libertarians and where we fit within the Republican and the Democrat Party, if we reside right in the middle, is that you have a two-party system that's entrenched, and it's shirts and skins. They're completely locked in on issues. The Republicans take this side, the Democrats take that side. They lock in, they fight, and there's no common ground in the middle where they can make any sense of things. The Libertarians, on the other hand, appeal to most people's intellect once to explain to what they believe in. I mean, and we should have more influence on what's going on, and the two-party system is absolutely killing the country. The Democrats raise a lot of money for Obama, the Republicans raise a lot of money for the Republicans, and they just go at it like rock'em sock'em robots in the middle when the issues and the actual answers lie somewhere in between.
Well, do you ever think there will be life for a third party in America?
Unfortunately, third parties tend to hurt the Republican Party. I mean, until a libertarian's ready to win, I think it's folly to vote for him sometimes to get a Democrat elected, and that's unfortunate. I wish there was a way that you could interject a libertarian into.
Is the Tea Party not a party but a movement?
The Tea Party is not a libertarian movement as much as it is a conservative movement. It certainly has put pressure on the Republicans to act like Republicans. They're actually, the hero's Paul Ryan, who's actually the only person doing anything about the budget.
Really?
Everybody else is demagoguing the situation, including the Democrats, including the Republicans. Look, they won't reach up and pat the pony on the nose. They're constantly kicking the can down the road on this situation. Right. And you got, $14.4 trillion deficit. You got $1.5 trillion a year added to it. This guy inherited $9 trillion. He's running it up to $14 trillion already. And this is going the wrong direction, and that's what the American people in this poll, where 66% believe we're going in the right direction. The problem is the Republicans really haven't done a whole lot better with the deficit, And unless we do something now and take a small amount of pain, we're going to have a lot of pain down the road.
Well, is it, I mean, excuse me, is it because the perception is that the voting American public or the American public won't support somebody who mans up on these issues?
Because they all like their little toys. I mean, the government, like heroin or crack you give to kids, they give you a little something. They give every Social Security to the old people. They give, Medicare, Medicaid. They give handout to the unions. Everybody's kind of on the dole. So it's like a drug dealer. You give out a few samples at first, then you get them hooked. And now it's a frightening number. 51% of Americans don't pay any federal income tax.
Really?
So all it takes is that 51% to steal from the 49%. And at a minimum, they steal from them. The untold thing that they do to the 49%, who are the productive part of society, is they disincentive them to work. They don't work as hard. So these are your most productive people in society who are also vilified by the Democrats who play the envy and card all the time. Obama now is going after corporate jets. Now here's a guy who flies in Air Force One. Here's a guy who's doubled the limousines in Washington under his watch. Limousine liberal, but he's literally doubled the amount of limousines in Washington. Flies in this huge jet. The family goes to Spain on vacations in Air Force planes. And he's going after corporate America who pays for their own jet built in America to fly corporate executives around. He's purely about envy, and that's the lowest form of life. It reminds me of John Edwards. Remember his Two Americas?
Right.
And that's the lowest form. If a Democrat came along with, like a Sam Nunn, the traditional Democrats with true values of what they believe in, not trying to stir up anger of one class against another. Politics, I think John Adams' son said one time, politics is like dividing up your enemies. I mean, putting your enemies' hatred toward one group toward another group, and you build hatred from one group to another group. He's not being inclusive. He's being divisive, and he's the opposite of what he said he was going to be.
Not only is it a hell of a way to run a country, it's a hell of a way for people to live their lives.
Yep.
Ron Hart, we'll be right back. Welcome back, News View, visiting with Ron Hart. Going to talk a little bit about churches. As you all know, here locally, the Faith Christian Fellowship Church, located on the Baton Beach Road, had filed for bankruptcy. But a number of churches have been touched by the recession.
Yeah, a lot of ministers, while they can touch the hearts and they can change the hearts and minds of their congregates, Bank of America can also change the locks on your church,
right?
If you don't pay them. So it's come to a real realization of what can happen out there. In many ways, the big churches, the mega churches, are business. I mean, they're terrific. It's a terrific business model, even if you're a preacher or a televangelist, because you got the guilt and fear of the people. They send you money. I mean, they send you 10% of what they make because you got the answers for them down the road. And the other thing you got to remember, God's a great partner because he's a strong person. He's respected. And he doesn't take a cut of your profits. So a lot of these churches that are going under, they probably should because they're apparently not resonating with people. And it's the real, it's the real world. This televangelist, this guy Moon or whatever his name was, that said the world's coming to an end.
They sent him like $8 million.
No, I heard $80 million.
$80 million.
I heard $80 million.
I'm announcing right now. Okay. I'm announcing right now the end of the world. This is the Lee Sullivan end of the world.
Send it in.
You'll see a P.O. box, and I mean, you won't need it. Send it to me, and if the world doesn't end,
yeah, the Minister Camp was really upset when the world didn't end. And I felt compelled. I called him up. I said, "Look, it's going to be okay. It's not like it's the end of the world."
That's
yeah.
sensitive.
So yeah, I thought that was very sensitive. I like to reach out.
$80 million.
$80 million. People are scared. He had the answers. I mean, that really defines at some levels. And the thing that bugs me most about televangelists and that in general is they prey on the weakest in society, the ones that really can ill afford to send them the money.
Robert Schuller, the Crystal Cathedral. So they're dumping assets. They're in bankruptcy.
Right.
What about my favorite guy that I hope never got to be president, because I really believed that if he thought God told him to mash the button, he would mash the button.
Yeah.
Pat
Robertson. Yeah, he came out recently and said that the gay marriage decision in New York will destroy America. It's going to destroy America if the gays were allowed to marry. But on the bright side, who better to decorate it if it gets destroyed, then the gays. So it's kind of a touchy back and forth type of situation. Yeah, it'd be perfect. They'd be right there to touch it up.
Why would, I mean, you know me, a little right. Attila the Hun, but I mean that's sort of pushing it, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, at some point, science and other things are gonna make some of these predictions seem a little more. And I think the Camp thing, when he predicted the end of the world, set religion back a good bit. When you have the flakes out there doing, David Koresh in Waco and the zealots in any form of movement, sometimes can define your movement. And when you make crazy predictions based off of your interpretation of a beautiful document, the Bible, which tells people how to live their life, it's a great series of stories, but there's a lot of odd things in there that it can be interpreted in many odd ways that tend to be very self-serving to the minister who interprets them.
That's the truth, and those are my views. What are yours?